The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
The home of this driver, a driver that needs no introduction, of which you can give many. Enzo Edino Ferrari, also known as Imola. The better name for it is Imola. We're here, we're racing, and well, I think about the last time we were here in October and everything that happened then. If you weren't here for that, go back and watch after this because you missed a show, you missed a turn one chaos, and well, to be very frank, I don't know if that's going to happen again, but if it does happen again, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to take you through for this, and I can't wait to see how this goes through. Welcome, everybody, to Primetime Racing TV for this week's coverage of Elbows Out Racing, where this week we are taking on Imola. As we said, it's myself, Brad Dalton, here in the booth, and, well, not Patrick. Patrick had to do real-life adult working things, which is not fun. Been there, done that. Wear it on a t-shirt. So instead, who do I have with me? None other than the other boss man himself, one Mr. Corey Silva. Corey, sir, good evening. How are you?
Good, Brad. Always having fun to help out with these guys. I know I got to produce a few weeks when you were, I don't remember what it was you were doing, but had some good fun here at a historic circuit, again, built in 1950. Of course, the track well known for the passing of the world's great Ayrton Senna, but minute left in qualifying. What do we have? About 40 cars strong amongst our four classes here. Should be a night of fun, as you alluded to, Brad.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one here. Weather on the day looking very, very nice. 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 67. Light wind and very much decent humidity there, 34%. This is going to be a good weather race. This is going to be a good run of a race. We've got probably the lowest driver count that we've had to date. We're in the 40s, which is not what I was expecting. Usually, we are seeing these guys max out their lobbies week to week. So the fact that we're only in the 40s is kind of impressive, all things considered. But I still think it's going to be a good show regardless of car count. As I said last time, as well, Nerny earns his broadcast time as he tends to do. Last time out in October, it was wild. Corey, what's your predictions for this one here as we go?
Well, it's a track that does have a lot of different difficult sections of it, a lot of different sections, you know, chicanes and switchbacks. So ultimately, I think traffic is going to be the big key. We've seen it many and many a time again, even in the races I've covered. Traffic giveth, traffic taketh. And right here on the track, you can see this famous chicane, certainly going to be a doozy to get through.
That it is here. As we get gridding, we'll get the grid scrolling through for you because this is going to be where I think things are going to make or break as it goes. Nick Terrell up in the front there with Cody Peridotto. That's going to be a hard-fought battle, as it always is. As we let things go, LMP2s, we've got smaller grids here today, which kind of is also, as I said, it's catching me off guard, all things considered. But it's also one of those that, as we look at it, I think it's going to produce some really tight racing here, Corey. The GT3s are nice and strong as usual, 17 AMs, 12 pros, and I have a feeling that when that starts to mix up there around the back of the pros start of the AMs, we're going to see some really hard fights here because guys are fighting to move up and down between classes as the season will change here in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the delta variance is between both the GT classes as well as LMP and GTP to see where the traffic differential's going to be, the coming and going rates. That's going to be really interesting to see here. As again, even though we don't have the biggest grid in the world, 41 cars strong, Brad, that is nothing to scoff about.
It's not at all. A couple big names to note here. Nicholas Paletti, William Westbrook, 5th and 6th. Hugo Alexander Ortiz running a new paint scheme. Boss man, don't worry. We did not pay for that paint scheme. He paid us for that one again. As we talked about last night in Triple Bypass with Zach Nerney's, Hugo Ortiz also now running a PTR TV car. We're kind of infecting the masses as we go around here. Tends to just be a theme. I get a message that says, hey, do you have a PTR TV logo handy? And I send it off. I don't think twice about it. And all of a sudden, a bunch of guys are running PTR TV cars. I don't know if I'm doing something right, something wrong, what we're doing here.
Well, what we could do, Brad, is we could put a logo section on our website of resources. And that way they'll represent it across as, again, like, share, and comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We always say, try to get 1,900 subscribers here. We're 10 away at the time of this recording. Maybe we can etch a little bit into that here as we're still waiting for the runoff period right now. It's telling me that we still have quite a bit of grid time here. Not sure if they have to manually get it rolling here, but looks like these drivers are itching to get at it here. I think you already showed the weather dated out of February 18th, 3:22 virtual time, Brad. So with an hour race, we'll probably push sunset a little bit, but still well within light here. And 1 minute to rolling just got that bump.
Yeah, just trying to get things finalized out here. They do have the success ballast in class, so a couple of these guys will have to take to end of line here. I'm going to double check myself on who that is because I want to make sure that I quote the right drivers here as it goes. So, of course, start procedures here, and there is an alternate start. We use the second start line down at the end as it goes. So, LMP2 drivers not going through. Broden Gray, Dylan Ackley, Emily Milkey, not allowed to qualify. And then, of course, Pinero, Claiborne, Bibb will pick up end of lines. Those are the three drivers here in those classes who have to shuffle through for the success ballast. For the remainder of the season, that rule does stay unchanged, but I can say there is a very heated discussion behind the scenes where things are looking to change on success ballast for next season. As of right now, nothing's changing, but I will tell you right now, come next season, that discussion is very, very heavily discussed here as we finally get rolling to get things going here. It looks like our pole sitter, Nathan Hemperly, in the AM category actually missed gridding here, so he will start from the pit lane. Not ideal to see here as we get the short pace lap going here. GTPs get away. LMP2s along just behind here as we head towards Aqua Minerale. And then, of course, the GT3 category, good old batch of cars here that are going to produce some great racing.
There, and that is the start of the GTs all the way back there, about 15 or so cars strong here as we get towards the end of the lap here and get ready for another night of elbows out here on PTR TV. 1 hour's worth of fun. Get your drink, get your snack. We're in for it, buddy.
Yeah, and just a reminder here, this was a change from earlier in the season. The GTD and GTD Pro categories start mixed up, so they don't split like we used to do. They start mixed up. Coming through the final corner now, that Porsche safety car very much needs to get out of the way and get to safety here quickly as we go along. And here we go. We'll come around. Again, it's the second start line that we're looking for. We are not taking on the main start. LMP2's just behind. So now we just wait. We go along. Nick Terrell has the lead up in the front. We are going to get racing again. There we go. Green flag's out. And now GTPs are away. Nick Terrell here in the lead in the Scooby-Doo mobile with Cody Peridotto here in second place just behind. GTPs get the run into turn one. It looks like a quick look of a move there from Stenick against Ethan Murphy. Makes the move along. Now we go back to LMP2s. LMP2s are away and going on the second start line. And it's a great jump from Metterly there. Option staying behind. Branco and Atley going side by side here. They sort things out. Now, here's the one I'm nervous about. Here's where things get scary for me. It's this GT3 field, and already Holland Greer off in the first corner here, trying to get things backing away. How do we do through the second set of corners? The second chicane side here in the background here as we get back into the AM category. That's Steve Groniga, who is going through side by side with Benjamin Bechtel as they go along. But further up, everyone's through and away, and looks like lap one much cleaner than it was last time out.
Yeah, looks like our overall leaders going through Alta right now, 14 and 15, in the way to Rivaza, the two left-handers, to conclude most of those. I'll say most, not all. Little commentators curse to Holland Greer there, but a couple cars went off, and we do have one car off in GT. No, actually, Will Weaver has gone off circuit there in the 999 car. So, and followed by another driver going off as well, Bob Carey.
We always say here, nothing beats a JetBlue holiday. And
Minerali.
Well, for Bob Carey, it looks like that's an off. We'll dial that up here in just a moment as we go. Lots of good battles still going on here. And interesting enough, Nick Terrell, Cody Perodato, they're still pretty well under pressure. And then Nerney's putting some good pressure on Garcia as he's got Ethan Murphy going around to the outside, trying to make it through. And let's see if the pass is there. It was almost there. Nerney's under pressure.
Yeah, that was through Tosa. Now into Piratella, turn number 9 here. Hard left-hander, about 90-degree corner there. Hard on the binders. They're going a little bit wide. Now crossover move. Great job by Murray to get sorted through. Great switchback racing here. That's how you take advantage of tracks with multiple chicanes like this.
That it is. You just have to be on your P's and Q's when it comes to it. You got to make sure that you're setting things up right and that you capitalize on the moments when they're there. Checking in here, Maxwell Woodmansee has dropped, words are hard, has dropped well down the order here and is in the mix of GT3s. He is down just purely right now. It looks like an early incident dropped him out of the order, and now he's having to do the hard thing of carve through the field here. 5th place in LMP2 to try to work his way back forward as he goes through. Mike Sermon, Tyler Cook up ahead. Tyler Cook drops off as he goes through. I thought Chris Stewart for a second had a moment there as we go through the chicane yet again. And now we just got to watch here. Let's see how this plays along as we head down in through the final corners. And again, Woodmansee in the mix, not in position, trying to work things through as he tries to work his way through the GT3 field for, unfortunately, the first time early on.
And I'm looking to see here as we get some lap times going across the board so we can see what the differential is here. Woodmansee on screen trying to get himself through the grid of slower classes right now, getting by the 37 of Zach Mosley, our AM leader right there. But our overall leaders running around a 132, Brad. And then we have our LMPs at about a 135. Looks like the fastest of the GTs rocking at about only 90-second laps. That is a pretty big differential. And again, traffic will certainly come into play probably within the next, I'd say, 10 to 15.
Very difficult here, and that's where things are going to start to cause problems, honestly, is the best way to phrase it. Is we watch Maxwell Woodmansee working through. Let's check in here up in the front. I'm starting to see a bit of Ethan Murphy and Aiden Garcia giving a battle along as they come down the main straight. Ethan Murphy, I don't know what it is about that Budweiser car. I know Dale Jr. is talking about running the Daytona 500 again next year, and we all know Jr. and Budweiser, they were great friends. But I don't know. He strapped this car together.
How do I not know that?
What do you mean?
I literally did not hear that, and I'm NASCAR boy, so we got to have a talk afterwards. I don't know if it was in the Ask Junior segment or what, but I want deets, but we got a broadcast, and that is not now. That Bud car getting a little bit free there, ironically enough, as probably that's where your segue came from, but maybe the rear tire starting to heat up here as, again, in that class, staying pretty close to each other. The only outlier, the overall lead in LMP, not too shabby either. Ackley not pulling away from Metterly.
Yeah, Metterly keeping the pressure on, and that tends to be just a known thing for Metterly, is that he'll stay in the mix early on here and keep the pressure alive, save some tires, not really overly push it, and then go through. But of course, remember, Corey, the one thing with this league that I really enjoy, I really appreciate, mandatory pit stops. There has to be a pit stop for 4 tires at some point in this race. So the question becomes, at what point do you take that pit stop? Do you take it, in theory, 45 minutes of fuel for LMP2s here? Do they decide to take 15 minutes of fuel early on, then pit, run long, or do they split the race 30-30? Do they run 45, then just a 15-minute sprint? What's the strategy here? Because we've seen that mix things up a lot, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that again here. Stenik works around the outside of Nerney, gets that pass done. The Porsche moves its way up into P5. Back in the background here in GT3 AM, Steve Groniga running a great run here in the number 59 Porsche as he is running his way through. He's right on the back of a good battle here that, well, I feel like I'm having deja vu. Dayton Harrison, Michael Bowman, Dayton McGuire, these guys are putting on some good battles. And they've got Travis Bell here, who is sitting backwards in the Olive Garden, where you're here, your family.
Park there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're sitting backwards there in, what do they even call that corner anymore?
What is that, Tamburello? Is that the center corner?
No, that is.
I'm actually looking at my track map. Is that Villeneuve? I couldn't quite make out where we were on track, but
where's that?
I do have my track map up. I'm trying to be authentic with the corner names. I hope you've appreciated that.
I have. It caught me off guard because you're doing better than me at corner names, and I kicked things off with my commentary career in F1, so I should know Imola like the back of my hand. And unfortunately, I'm kind of struggling here. But Variante Alta there, I believe. As I pull up my reference map from years ago and get my way through, the map I was looking at had a different name. Nevertheless, going through back on track action, Zach Mosley leading in GTD as we go through here with Tyler Cook just behind in GTD Pro. This is a mix of class. This is not a battle for position. It is 8 seconds plus back, I believe, to get to Matthew Marin, second place in GTD.
But it's worth pointing out for Mosley there that, he is kind of batting above the rest of his class there by quite a big margin. 4 cars separating, 4, pretty good pro drivers. Well, if he can keep this kind of pace up, across multiple rounds, he will certainly bump himself up in that GT ladder.
Yeah, that's going to be very important for him in the long run if he can do that. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit. Of course, if you join in here early on in the season, you get placed based on iRating, based on licensing, based on experience. But I think, Corey, you and me know this better than anyone, that sometimes your iRating and your license doesn't necessarily prove skill. So we can see some moments where guys are well out of the mix of where they
are overall, rather in our overall class up here up front. In the GTPs, you have Ethan Murphy with a 1700 I rating. That would be, bottom split in anything else, but no, he's battling with the best of them there. In fact, currently side by side with Stenik here as lap traffic has come amongst us right here. Some really good battling going on here up front as they do try to navigate. Brad, if we could cut to that on the screen, that would be fabulous here. Really slicing and dicing. Murphy getting through there along with Nerney and company.
Yeah, don't count it out yet, because here we go coming through. That is going to be a great battle to watch as they go through. I saw some off tracks coming through, but looks like everyone for the most part has worked their way together. They are 6 seconds back currently from Terrell and Perodato up in the front, who are, just absolutely battling it with a whole lot of nothing.
Overall
lead.
Working
it out. Here we go. The 77 Lamborghini going to prove to give a great moment here. Dayton McGuire sets it up for a pick, and he was trying to go with GTPs. We're coming along. Perodato, Nick Terrell. Man, these guys are going to paddle it out to the end.
Yeah, right now getting slicing and dicing through some heavy-duty traffic here, heading through Ravazza here. Got the 2 left-handers, and that puts you on the straight for the front stretch. And this is where Perodato maybe can use a little bit of slipstream, but also has to set himself up for the run into Tamburello. Try to be clear of the GTs, but also maybe have an opportunity here. He's going to lose a little slipstream here. Now get back into the draft here, heading into Tamburello. I don't think he's going to be able to take too much advantage of it. Hard on the binders, gains a little bit of time here going on board here. Now you have a little bit of a shoot, little bit of a run up to Villeneuve here, as there will be another GT to navigate. It's going to hurt Terrell more than it's going to hurt Peridotto here, I do believe.
It hurt a lot there, and that is Hugo Ortiz. They work their way around. Traffic just really hurts as it goes. Dwight Hibbs has a meatball flag, which is not ideal for him. And tell you what, we haven't dialed up a single replay yet. We're going to go to a replay really quick because I want to know what happened to Dwight Hibbs. So let's take a look here as we go. So this was Dwight Hibbs' moment.
Got loose on exit.
Losing it on his own there.
An old commentary friend of mine would say too much beans there. A little bit too much gas on corner exit.
Way too much beans. This is Will Weaver having a moment there. Unfortunately, getting caught up. And, well, you can see not ideal there with Joel Bandera. One more quick angle of that from the low cam. Travis Bell, Carson Moore. What's happened to them? Well, Olive Garden.
Spilt the salad.
Not ideal. Cleanup aisle pasta. One more here. Daniel Pinero. What happened to Pinero?
Actually, I guess Olive Garden's not fast casual, but not a good day for restaurants. Olive Garden and Panera having some issues. Waka Waka.
I would say that Olive Garden is fast casual. I used to manage fast casual restaurants, and that was a big place we competed
fast casual. Very quick before we get back to real life. A fast casual restaurant, that could be an off-topic debate for us in our Discord post-race, but either way, Olive Garden's a ripoff, and I'll never go back there. You can make it at home for a third of the price. But anyways, having some good racing going on, of course, through the field right now. We got Callan Tobin on the screen right now. He is currently up by about 2 seconds over Westbrook there, leading that pro class right there. And basically, the pro class is, I'd say, probably the most separated of the bunch. We did have a car off in the background there, some purple car in the background, but everyone going Luke Bryan mode here, kicking the dust up here in the dirt.
It's kind of amazing how narrow Imola this track can be just because of how it is. Like, it genuinely is one of those that I look at it and I just don't expect it to be a problem. And then it is when you get on track, and I kind of just look at it and go, oh, okay, well, that's not what I expected, but we'll go with it here as we keep things going along and around. And wow, Kyle O'Grady, I have this on you because you have Pedro's Tacos and you're in a great battle, and he loops it on his own.
So basically, continue the food trend. We have Olive Garden, Panero, which I know that's just a name pun there, and tacos all having issues. So if you got food on your car, something probably gonna happen to you today.
Ethan Murphy with a black flag, so it's not a good day to drink either. I mean, we go from that to that.
Consumables.
So, yeah, any sort of beverage that you like is not a good idea right now. Any sort of food, great battle to shape up as the 3 and the 31 GTP are going to battle along. And I want to check back in with LMP2 because, well, not a lot's happened in LMP2. They've kind of all hit their stride. They're running their own pace. Dylan Ackley's in the lead by 4 seconds here, back over Brian Medderly, who is running ahead of Emily Milkey, who's under challenge 3/4 of a second. Slipstream helping out through the front stretch against Liam Branco, with Maxwell Woodmansee there a little bit further behind. So these 5 LMP2s, I mean, they're running a race of their own, it feels like.
It's one of those interesting positions to be in as a driver where you are you feel like you're not even in a race. You kind of feel like you're just time trialing with other cars on the track. But, you know, it keeps your opportunities for mistakes lower. Your pressure is lower. But, you know, sometimes you kind of wish that you had someone to go up there and battle with, but never count anything out because you never know. Someone could have a surge. You may make a mistake that puts you into the mix.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to keep an eye on as it goes along. These guys continuing to go. And again, I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. Pit stops can change anything at any time. So just keep an eye on that here. Up front, Nick Terrell, Cody Peridotto, they are still in the mix here going along, getting a battle. There's now no traffic to contend with. And, well, that number 1 car has a number 1 for a reason. He's dangerous behind the wheel. He's good behind the wheel. I say dangerous as in, like, dangerous good, not dangerous, you know, dangerous driver, Nikita Mazepin style. He is just a very, very strong competitive driver. And let's see how this goes. A moment there as we go back to the back here in GTDs. We still have some good battles going on here. McGuire, Michael Bowman, Lamborghini versus Porsche. Who's going to win this one?
We do have pit stops as well, Brad.
LMP2s, or no, GTPs. What? Garcia and
Garcia,
Stenick.
and Murphy. Yeah. This is
an early pit stop.
Yeah, only about 25% distance. We're estimating 40 laps here on the day as we are 17 laps complete, estimating about 40 laps. We're about 11 in. So, perhaps that could be a tire wear thing, Brad. Maybe the tires are doing better later in the stint. Maybe you want the tires to be optimal at the end versus some tracks, or maybe they, have a different wear pattern. So all things to be considered, or maybe you just want to get in clean real estate as well.
Yeah, I gotta wonder if it's just getting out of the lap traffic, because when we go and look at stuff like this for the lead of GTD Pro, dive into turn 1, William Westbrook to the inside, Chris Stewart to the outside. Watch Mike Sermon try to take advantage as well as Chris Stewart hits the bump, and that is Chris Stewart off. A rare moment from Chris Stewart. Sausage curbs are not good in shake and bake, I can tell you that much, and that front bumper is gone. His cars are coming in now. We've got a lot of GTDs coming through now as well.
Yeah, he had the opportunity to at least save the car, used that via the competitor there to keep the car straight, but obviously the front bumper was left there in the chicane as Callan Tobin exiting the pits there, and luckily he'll find some clean real estate there, entering Tamburello's to not have any issues. So some pit stops to be had. We'll see how it all shuffles. Terrell overall, he has pulled away by 0.8 over Perodato. And looks like we may have another good battle as Sermon and Cook. They still have not concluded their battle. They are still probably the closest battle on the circuit right now.
Yeah, this is a great one to watch here as they go through and continue this battle along. This is for second in GTD Pro as Sermon and Cook are just kind of swerving their way through. William Westbrook taking advantage and running away. And it's interesting to me that the leader in GTD Pro pits so early. Callan Tobin pitting so early has sort of shook up anything I thought I knew about strategy. So, but, in the context, could be getting out of traffic. I know that's something you said earlier, Corey. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if that is what he's doing here. Cody Perodato up in second place, a second off of Nick Terrell running through, as we have just drivers all over this track. I can't emphasize enough how spread out this field has really gotten here as we go, and these guys are doing great to put in some good battles as they go along here. Tyler Cook, Mike Sermon, this is a great battle. Still going on behind them, Bourdon and Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart still running without a front bumper.
Have to wait for the pit stop, and hopefully for him they can repair it in enough time. I know they can do basically full body repairs in all of these machines. We'll see if the crew is able to do just that. Here is I'm looking at an overall track map on my backside, Brad, and to validate what you said, a lot of these drivers, we thought maybe they just want to get in clean real estate. There's really, I wouldn't say any more than a 4-second buffer on any portion of this racetrack where there are no vehicles. So this track very much is completely covered, scattered in cars, as now you can see that you've pulled up on the screen. There's really, maybe they're entering Rivazza. There's a little bit of a gap there, but if you're looking to pit to find clean real estate, you're probably not going to bat as highly as you'd like to.
Yeah, no, this is a weird situation to find, but this is the case of endurance racing. You're running to a delta, you're running to a time. We've got 4 different classes who run 4 different styles of pace. Here's Colin Bourdon right up the inside of Tyler Cook. A great move there going through the final corners. Now down the front straight we're going to go, and let's see here where they can place things out. If Tyler Cook can have a battle back. Chris Stewart, again, no front bumper, so I'm really shocked to see that Mercedes hanging along here as well as it is as he goes through. Checking in with Dwight Hibbs here. He's still trying to work through, and there's a good moment. The 2 PTR TV cars together. There we go, Dwight. The Subaru PTR TV car going through with the PTR TV car of Hugo Ortiz. Yeah, that's going to end up on a wallpaper somewhere for me. I'm just a little...
Yeah, put it on. I know you're redoing the website here, so put it on the website. You guys got our little slideshow reel of sorts there. Always looks good for the branding. What also looks good for the branding, what is not, is Zach Nerney having some serious issues. He is backwards in Alta right now.
What has happened tonight for Nerney? He's not performing up to form here. He is struggling in that Ferrari. It is just not doing what he needs here. Let's dial up a quick replay of what happened to Nerney.
Oh, yeah. He just, I think to say this in the nicest way possible, he No, he had fun with. No, I can't say that either. The sausage curbs gave him issues. I almost, where I was accidentally going to say that.
Great avoidance there, though, from Ethan Murphy to be very heads up on that and stay out of the way. And then, well, there's not a lot you can say at that moment.
Yeah, he did a good job just getting the car sorted, not being on the track, knowing how difficult of a section that is, how blind it is, blending back into the racetrack here. But we did have Hibbs there in the pro class in GT, but Sermon has fallen back by about 8/10 down there in relation to Westbrook, as somebody has gone off, and that is Liam Bronco going off there in Tamburello.
And not ideal there for him to go off, as he has now jumped right back to the pits. Let's see if we can't dial up what happened to him there, because that was not ideal.
Our few LMPs here, so that's further removes some competition there in that class. Takes the pressure off those drivers. See from his on board, or
he was running down the main straight here, gets around the GTD. And this is down into turn 1. What happens here? Is this a sausage curb victim as well? Yes.
That was not a sausage curb. That was just one of the normal ripple strips that sent him around.
Well, that is not ideal, and it looks like that caused, I'm going to assume, floor damage based on my experience. So we'll see here how that went along as we go back live pictures here. Tyler Cook, Mike Sermon still battling with Bourdon and Stewart. This battle right here for second place in GTD Pro just continuing and is not giving up at all.
Yeah, I'm still confused at how a ripple strip turns a car around, but a sausage curb doesn't. Physics and
I don't know
stuff. That's just that's beyond. Yeah, I know big stock cars that can go bouncy. I don't know these low to the ground cars, but that's your job, Brad. But either way, we have that great battle second there, as Westbrook doing better than Russell Westbrook does in basketball in relation to that, but he's up by 6 seconds there, so he has quite the buffer over this second place battle, and they are still going at it, doing a good job here as we close in on halfway here, 5 minutes to halfway. Remember, if you're catching us late, we've already had some top name drivers come to the pits. And actually, I don't know if we caught this, Brad, and I wasn't paying any mind to it, but Tyler Stenick is out of the race.
I did not catch that Stenick was out of the race. I don't know what happened to him. I've been trying to analyze down this GTD Pro run here.
Lap 11 on his. Oh, he had, I just caught it on his. It was on lap number 11. He had a major issue. Luckily, we have a fancy software that tells us exactly when he wrecked. And Brad is queuing that up as we speak. Or so I believe. There we go. What happened? Well, that's not Stenick. Is that Dwight?
No, that's Stenick. What happened to him there? That's a very weird moment.
So on my side, I'm seeing him pile drive somebody on the entrance to a chicane there.
So that was Aiden Garcia he pile drove. So he had a moment a lap earlier here. Have here where he pile drives and takes out a GT. That's going to be a slam dunk penalty. That's going to really hurt him. That's not ideal. And one more time here.
Oh, yeah, that will. As we just get another look at that. That further kind of degrades our overall battle, as well as we've just had issues with our LMPs. So GT is where the battles are going to be at. Terrell overall still up by 2 seconds. Nerney, the only other LMP in direct competition, he is 36 seconds behind the overall lead. And then for our LMP fans out there, Dylan Ackley up by 4 seconds over Metterly, and then another 8 seconds in arrears to go back to Emily Milkey here. So for the top two classes, they pretty much just, as Rihanna says, shut up and drive, keep it on track. You're probably in a good spot. Just don't screw it up. But of course, the battles in GT cannot say that same thing.
Indeed. And again, before that big incident there, Tyler Cook goes around battling with Callan Tobin for what would have been the overall lead, and he is stuck in a horrible position there, but he gets the car going again. Thankfully gets that Aston Martin out of the apex. and everyone there, Panero, Yor, and Grady with great heads-up driving. I'm watching Cal and Tobin right now, and I'm really watching the gap between Cal and Tobin and the lead. And Mike Sermon and Colin Bourdon and Chris Stewart, that group of cars, that's a 46-second gap that they're looking at right now. And a pit stop takes 48 seconds on a good day. So whenever the rest of these GTD and GTD pros decide an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, the only thing that timing, as I've learned multiple times on my NASCAR equivalents when Andre and I try to do this math, you do have to add about 3 or so seconds to it because it doesn't account for the slowdown to the cone and the acceleration past the cone. So I usually like to add about 3 seconds to that, and that's going to be our delta. So by that logic, there's still going to be a couple seconds to spare, but either way, a couple seconds at a track this difficult with the lap traffic, that could all be lost or gained in the course of one lap.
That it can. This is going to be an exciting one to keep an eye on all the way through to the end, because I don't know how this is going to really end up at this point, because this is just... We're only half race distance. Like, that's the other part that's really catching me off guard. We're only half race distance, right? And that's the part that I kind of look at and I go, really? This is only halfway through a race? We still have half a race to go? And who knows how this is going to happen? But yeah, that's where we're at with it. This is a good moment to have as well, to be only half race distance.
Yeah, 31 minutes left to go, about 19 laps into what we estimate to be 40 here on the day. We have 5 drivers formally out of the race, as Brad says, ooh.
That was Chris Stewart trying to get around Bob Carey, and it looks like that was miscommunication on the Mercedes end. Which Mercedes, I'll let you decide at home, but they both tried to occupy the same space, and I thought Bob Carey got sent to the shadow realm, but somehow able to keep that Mercedes on track.
That's what will happen sometimes. Different braking points, different perspectives, different driving styles, looking in the mirror for traffic. Sometimes a lot of different things can happen that throw these drivers into those pickles here, but that all siphons itself through and carries on as, again, this is basically the best battle on the track right now, where it was, we now have Kyle O'Grady here. I don't think we've really talked about him too much today. Down in the AM class, he is 7/10 behind Craig Yor, one of the closest battles there on the track in the AM division.
Yeah, Craig Yor there, a great driver to always keep an eye on there with Kyle O'Grady as they go along. And again, the Tacos maybe not really giving as much luck here today as they go through. This battle up front, Sermon Bourdon, they're not going to stop. Kyle O'Grady and Craig Yor, this is going to close up very quickly, but a majority of these cars still need to pit. Cars that have pit so far, Zach Nerney, Ethan Murphy, Aiden Garcia, Dwight Hibbs, Callan Tobin, and then everyone from Paletti back. Which, if you're following along live at home, there is a live timing link pinned to YouTube chat, so be sure to check that out, because that will give you kind of live behind the scenes of what we're looking at here. You can check in where your favorite driver's at, see what's going on where, and get an idea of what sort of crazy things are going on here on track as it goes.
Yep, this is when, your noggin really starts to get pushed here, as who's pit, who hasn't pit, who's running what, where are people going to blend out, how is the traffic going to work out. This is where these drivers really wish they had a team strategist, which I know some drivers actually do in different divisions here in esports, but this is where you really wish you had it, so you can just have that secret code as to which strategy is going to prevail and where you're going to end up here on the track. But unfortunately, that's not something that a lot of drivers have, as we do have a couple more pit stops to be had. Matthew Marin in the pits, Chris Stewart getting service. I think he may be getting his front bumper back, which he will be highly obliged to receive.
Chris Stewart, quick trip there through. He's coming along. I believe he took 4 tires there, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. Let's see here as he comes through. 20 seconds in the box.
Alex Bowman. Michael Bowman coming in.
Steve Gronaga's in, so we're busy. We are busy in pit lane, but we still have GTPs and LMP2s that need to come in. But it looks like for GTDs, this is the time they decide. And
oh, Stewart.
I saw Stewart pop a black flag, and I was wondering what happened to him there, and unfortunately, it looks like that is what happened. It looks like that's going to be a track limits issue
tires
there. Incident points.
Yeah, very well could be cold tires, just sending it off yonder into the gravel trap there. As you sometimes you forget, a lot of times on the oval side of things, you exit the pits, you forget what it's like to have grip. But on the other side of things here in the road racing world, you have grip, you pit, and then you don't have it, and you have to acclimate to not having grip again. And sometimes it's a little bit harder than you'd expect it to be.
That it is, but it's always fun to watch as it goes through. And I'm not a great driver, so Corey, you drive a lot more than me. You can probably talk about this more than I can. Whenever you are in this position, for Chris Stewart, he is consistently fighting up front. That's another off track if I've ever seen one. But when you're consistently in that position up front, is Hugo Ortiz, Zach Mosley, they're getting into a fight here. This is not for position, but this is sort of for bragging rights here, because Zach Mosley leading in GTD, and then, of course, Hugo P3 in GTD Pro. He'd love to bring home a third place, but very much so, he'd love to get past the last GTD that is in his way. So let's see here if the Pro can get past the AM, how that's going to go. This is going to be a good battle to watch.
Yep, certainly is here as we head through and down getting ready to head down. Where are we at on circuit right now? I think we're getting ready to blend out onto one of the chicanes here. So trying to get a good run, exit in the chicane, but not able to do so. I think heading down into Ravaza, if I'm not mistaken here. Getting a little bit of a tow down here. Following that Mercedes, somebody off into the barrier there, back of the shot under the bridge. And that, I believe, was Craig Yore.
I believe it was here. Callan Tobin, William Westbrook, side by going through.
Up front, as I was watching some of the live timing, that Peridotto did have the lead down to about a second and a half, and I was about to get ready to call out whether, we had a battle shaping up here or things ready to get juicy, but it has gone back up to 2 seconds here. The traffic's
35 minutes into this race, 25 minutes to go as we go along. More drivers on here, but still Nick Terrell, Cody Peridotto haven't hit, which is kind of interesting to see, if we're honest. That's one of those that I'm waiting on them to pit. They're not pitting. They've opted for the strategy of run this out as long as possible, which is not what I was expecting from them here. Is Ondera currently holding off here, running through. That is Nerney who's going to get past him without issue. Nerney a lap down. It's weird to think that we only have 2 cars on the lead lap.
Well, of course, Nerney being third in that class, but, we just saw him maybe about 10 minutes ago backwards in one of the chicanes. So obviously that cost him a plethora of time, but that puts him in that spot where we've had so much attrition. We have Stenek out, and, we've just had other drivers struggling here. Dwight Hibbs struggling, Aiden Garcia. There's just not much left there in GTP. So you can struggle here, not have a great day, but still end up with a podium in class, potentially.
Yeah, which is really interesting to see, the idea that, the day not be the best, but still end up with the podium in class. Kind of exciting to see. Metterly here, because Metterly's in the pits. Woodman C runs through and along, and we'll find his P2. Westbrook, well, I was going to say got passed by Sermon, and it looks like Westbrook ended up in the wall, actually. So let's see if we can't dial up how that one happened.
Well, that might actually be interesting once the pro class shuffles out, because remember, he was leading by quite some time. Let's get us a little video what happened here, and he just lost it on corner exit, got the right sides off on that kind of pseudo painted turf, whatever that kind of pavement is to the outside of the corner here. It has less grip, and obviously on cold tires, it was not enough to provide that car straight traction out of the corner. So we'll see how it all shuffles out. He was out by a lot before, but that's certainly going to eat into whatever gap he may or may not have post pit stops.
Yeah, it absolutely is here, and as pit stops are finalizing out, Nick Terrell is into the pits here. Cody Peridotto staying out for at least one more lap longer. Most drivers have made their way through. We see drivers shuffling up and down the field. Hugo Ortiz is off, not the PTR TV car. He is off going through and around. He gets back going. I was going to say let's go on board with the PTR TV car, but, well, He spun it through and around. Let's go with Chris Stewart here. We're going to actually ride on board for a moment with Chris Stewart. We're going to take some temporarily loud engines. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We don't do this a lot. Well, we do it a lot here, and we're going to do it again right here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back here checking in on Colin Bourdon, who is currently leading over Callan Tobin. I was wondering how those pit stops were going to cycle it out, and it's a 10. Well, actually, no, Callan Tobin will be the leader when it's all said and done. I can't read, but it's 44 seconds between Tobin and Bourdon, so this still could be a close battle in GTD Pro to the end. Back in GTD, the leader, Joshua Bibb, is now in the pits here as he is going through. We'll see how that works for him, where he comes out. Of course, he is in the worst position for me to get a camera shot on him here. It's myself, Brad Dalton, here in the booth, along with Corey Silva, the other half of PTR TV. Corey, sir, I'm glad you've joined me for this one. 17 and a half minutes to go, roughly. How you feeling? What you looking at?
Well, right now we have had a pit stop in the overall GTP class here, where Terrell has made his stop. Equated to a 25-second box time, 52-second lane time, so we'll see how that equates. But Perodato still cruising, still chugging here on the circuit. And he's 52 seconds up, Again, Terrell was in the pits for 52 seconds. So again, give or take a second or two there, should be right on each other's toes. And how long is Perodato going to keep it on the raceway? And he's going to keep it on for at least one more lap as he does stay around here at start finish.
Taking a look here at who is where with this as they go, just checking in, trying to get an idea. Let's take a look here. So again, they haven't pit yet, but if we look at the last 3 laps in pace, last couple of laps, because weirdly enough, it seems like Perodato has been able to open up some pace since Nick Terrell has gotten out of the way there and gone into the pits. It's kind of let Cody Perodato dictate how things go. I have to wonder here, is he going to be able to have enough?
Remember, Terrell's on cold tires. He's getting the pace built back up. He's getting the temperatures, the pressures, the grip built back up. Perodato is on those nice, comfortable, heated up tires. I don't think there's too much deg here to speak of, but Perodato is stuck behind a GT there through a couple of chicanes. That won't help his case out there. I saw just live there. You can see that gap went down about a second just through that little sequence here. So I think this is going to be a good lap for Perodato to pit, because I'm looking at the track map and there's a bunch of pro class cars directly in front he'll have to fend with if he stays on the track this next coming lap. This would be a great time to pit, evade that traffic, and I think he was listening to me.
Yeah, it probably is, which doesn't surprise me because we tend to have great strategy up here in the booth. So if he is listening, shout out to Cody. Let's see how this pit stop goes for him as he goes along. I have a feeling this is going to be probably the most important pit stop of the race as he goes through. In the box, cooks the tire. Oh, no, he has to back up into the box.
So that's a second right there, at least. And, you know, the gap was equal. It was basically going to be an equal differential there, but now let's see where things stand. I can tell you that Terrell is just about to enter Ravazza here, so he is hard on the binders for the left-hander. Exiting the pit, still has a little bit of space to go at pit speed limit is Perodato. This should be a really juicy battle. On the pit straight here is Terrell. He's trying to get whatever draft GT cars. Where is the blend point going to be? No, Perodato, he is going to come out with a relatively sizable advantage, still about 4.5 seconds. But he's going to be on the cold tires.
Look at that box time and that lane time. Even with having to get an adjustment in the box, Perodato, because he waited so long to pit, had to take much less fuel, and it saved him about 5 seconds. If he hadn't have done that, they'd be right up against each other right now. So that 5 seconds of savings, that overall lead is about to get real spicy to the end here as it goes. So let's just buckle this one in. As you said, the cold tires have to come up for Perodato. He's got to get things going here. Looks like he's got a lot of traffic to contend with on Dara there to the inside with no front bumper. Up ahead there, LMP2 of not Dylan Ackley, that is Maxwell Woodmansee. He's got to get around, so he's trying to work his way through that, trying to nurse this car a little bit. I have a feeling that he's not out of the woods yet. Taylor Swift would be saying, "Are you in the clear?" And, well, his spotter is screaming, "No, you're not in the clear. Get this thing going."
And every time you keep saying, "I got a feeling," I want to say tonight's going to be a good night. Let's just do Black Eyed Peas references. For you Aiden Garcia fans, he is out of the race here. As again, Luke Bryan mode engaged there. Someone's kicking the dust up. But Aiden Garcia out of the race, leaving 4 GTPs on the track. Of course, Dwight Hibbs, Ethan Murphy, and Zach Nerney, the other ones there. And we do have Nicholas Paletti, who is, I believe, queued up for a replay of sorts. Or is that Kyle O'Grady?
That was Kyle O'Grady, who decided he wanted to park here. And then we're going to kind of just check in on some different things that we've missed through this pit stop cycle. Dwight Hibbs, well, this was what happened, and doesn't look too bad there for Dwight. Aiden Garcia, well, let's check in on what happened with Aiden. So it shows he towed. I don't really see a good reason as to why.
He had a beep ball that.
I see a good reason as to why.
No bueno.
Not ideal.
We need a copyright free. This is where we need a copyright free Benny Hill theme song for our crash loop.
We really do. They want me to make like a compilation of the best crashes through this season. That's like a donut from Panero. Is Panero? Well, I guess it'd be a bagel. So I guess we have to tell him it's a good bagel. Christopher Ondera, this is how he lost his front bumper. Thankfully, somehow these cars are very resilient in ways I don't expect. Kyle O'Grady, well, second verse, same as the first, except for a love tap to the driver's side. And one more here of Mike Sermon.
Oh,
Aston
no,
Martins
he was
don't
someone
like
that
to
we
drift.
Yeah, we had a lot of camera time from him earlier in the show. But as I will just give you a little live intervention, it was a 4-second lead that Perodato enjoyed over Terrell. That 4-second lead has eradicated down to a paltry 1.5 seconds. Last time round, a half second faster. But Perodato was in heavy traffic. And, you know, as you like to say, whenever the leader goes through traffic, they have to fight a little bit harder than when second, third, fourth, and so on goes through.
Yeah, somehow, for some reason, that tends to be the tendency. We don't see it as severely here in Elbows Out, but you still see it to a degree. You still see Geister to the leader than they will in P2 gears. We watch this gap go through. Nick Terrell over a quarter of a second better in the Sector 1 this lap than Cody Perodato. We're riding on the gearbox of Cody Perodato here, of where this is going to go as they go through Variante.
Around, backwards.
Yeah, Hibbs, I mean, not ideal for the PlayStation car.
He's got he's got a PlayStation 2 on his car. If that's why he's having issues. He's got to be PlayStation 5. He's 3 gens old.
Listen, PlayStation 2 is the peak of PlayStation. Come at me.
I mean, it's fine. It's the last system that had memory cards. I miss having a memory card. Kids don't even realize those were a thing anymore. But, you know, that's a 90s topic that nobody will know because people are too young. Probably half of this stream was released, and that is ever so sad as we have now eclipsed 10 minutes to go here in this race. At Imola, I've had a good one. We've had a lot of attrition. We've had a lot of spins, probably more spins than I've ever seen in one of these races, but someone who has not spun is Perodato leading the overall. Callum Tobin up by 2.5 in pro. We have Dylan Ackley up by 13 seconds over Metterly. And then for your AM fans out there, Zach Mosley is up by more than I can easily calculate over Matthew Marin.
21 seconds and counting is the gap between Mosley and Marin. So that is kind of impressive to see as he goes through. As we reset the timing tower here because it seems to be having a fit for whatever reason. Not sure what's going on with it. Going through, Metterly goes around really quick. Matthew Marin. Marin's in the mix here with Nicholas Belletti. This is not technically a battle for position going through, but him and Bid behind will be a battle for position with Matthew Marin as they go through. The Sleepy Turtle, who really is always up there in the mix, always challenging in a great position. We'll see what he's able to find here going through as he'll be looking for a good, consistent top 3. There's a 1 minute gap between Perodato, Terrell, and Nerney. I want to point out a 60-second plus gap between the top 2 and P3. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that 1 minute on a track that's 90 seconds. So literally 2/3 of a lap down is just absolutely insane to fathom there. But that is what the cards have on the table for us here this evening as Ethan Murphy, Budweiser going off. Well, you can see all the dust on the track there. For obvious reasons, it has been a doozy.
Yeah, not a good time for him there, but he's able to get that back going, stays out of the way. Not too much of an issue, and I don't think he spilled any blood there, so he's doing pretty good, all things considered. Dwight Hibbs finally working his way through the LMP2 field as it goes along. He's coming up on the back end of Maxwell Woodmansee here to try to work his way through that field as they are sitting multiple laps down currently on the leaders as they go through it. I don't know the last time I saw a race like this where this happened and the laps kind of ended up like this. Panero and Dayton Harrison. Let's watch this battle because this is P9 and 10 in GTD, but this is going to be a hard-fought one. These guys, they always end up near each other, and when they do, it's always a good battle here. Panero to the outside, to the inside goes Dayton Harrison. Mustang versus Porsche. The Mustang should have a little bit more off the line, but the Porsche has the outside, comes over, blends a little bit of car contact. They're going to get back into a run. How is this one going to end? Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a good battle between these two.
Yeah, it looked as though they were almost trying to do a little side drafting there down the straightaway, but obviously that was for naught here, heading into the penultimate chicane here as they'll get themselves sorted out. Not the penultimate chicane, now they are coming down into the straightaway. Another run down to the braking zone, not enough to make the dive.
Not enough through, but certainly giving it the old college try here as we've been watching that. We've had a change for the overall lead. Nick Terrell, Cody Perodato, they have swapped places here. Let's go back and check out how that happened because that happened on the backside while we were looking. I got to wonder, did Cody make a mistake? Survey says yes, Cody did indeed make a mistake. Here we go as we go in. This is into turn one. Overcooks it through the gravel, and that is how quickly a race can change.
Yep, just had a little bit of gravel on the tires, lost the momentum, and that was all that was necessary to have that pass be made, given the lead to Terrell. Now, is he going to be able to sustain it? Of course, he gained a bunch of time between the exit of the pit stop and, prior to that mistake, he had gained a lot of time, but this is the first time he's been in, as clean air, if you want to use that word. So we'll see what happens there as following some other battles. Chris Stewart, a name we've followed quite a bit here today, doing a good job, just kind of cruising along there, 7th in class.
Yeah, Chris Stewart there with a great pass there in the shake and bake mobile as Nick Terrell and Perodato are coming up behind him here. Perfect timing on his part to go through. You see he holds the line, goes through. There goes Terrell, there goes Perodato. And if you're Perodato, I mean, you're kicking yourself at this point. It's 5 minutes to go, and now you put yourself on the back foot with a hard fight left off the track there. That is a Mustang with a bumper hanging. That is Tyler Cook, who is taken off the track there. Not ideal for him. He'll hopefully be able to hold on for 5 more minutes, but for 5 more minutes, race is completely undecided, and that's the overall lead here. Here we go. What do you do? Olive Garden's going to take away your free breadsticks. No, they actually set things up now, and now the Al Fans car is going to set through. Hold up Cody Perodato hard.
Yeah, that's the traffic giveth, traffic taketh scenario there. Got stuck behind the pick. Not an illegal screen here, but that was a rough pick and roll there. Terrell definitely got the roll off. It went from a half second up to now almost a second and a half up. Now Perodato is going to have to turn on the jets. He's not going to be able to just use a pick because they do have some relatively clean real estate. Not enough to make to the end of the race. Maybe a couple cars on the white flag lap, Brad, but for the most part, only a car or two here and there. The major traffic is behind them.
A very, very hard-fought battle at the end. 1.7 seconds without any traffic help can be very hard to overcome. And as you see, the gap resets there. 1.9 down to a second and a half through the first corners. This is going to be a hard-fought one at the end. Black flag starting to become a problem, though. Murphy, Hibbs, Tyler Cook has a black flag as well. Come an issue here. As we check back in, Chris Stewart, Mike Sermon, these two behind, they're not done with the battles. Craig, you are in the mix as well. That's going to send a spin around for Chris Stewart and Mike Sermon.
Well-timed eradication there just to see what was about to spin.
That was a DQ for Sermon. He hit, and that was a DQ. Incident limits now becoming a bigger problem.
Very, very rough timing for them, but that's just how the cookie crumbles here this evening with what they have to deal with the incident cap. So it's been a rough race around all edges here, so only a matter of time before people start getting bit here. Sub 3 minutes to go, estimating roughly 3 laps. We'll see how the leaders do come into play here as they come through Ravazza here for the, I guess, probably third to go time here. We'll see how it all shakes out, but Perodato eating a little bit into the gap, now down to about 1 1/3 seconds, but he's going to need some bigger chunks if he's going to have any fighting chance. Yeah,
this is going to be one of those that you got to wonder if that little Little over break into turn one is going to be what seals the story here. And really, I mean, what could have been is going to be the question.
Oh, Terrell got backed up by the... Terrell got heavily backed up. That is what Cody Perodato needed. Gained 1 second over the course of one chicane. Now he's close. Now, more importantly, he's in the slipstream range, Brad. Usually that's about 0.8 of a second and lower. So now once these cars get wound up on a straight, he's going to get the aerodynamic help as long as more traffic doesn't hurt him.
Traffic give, traffic take. And right now it is Cody Perodato's best friend. Look at this. That is Zach Mosley, the GTD leader, who's now holding up. Gap now 0.2 of a second. Ladies and gentlemen, we got 1 minute and 45 seconds. We got a motor race on our hands here as we go. Watch this as we head into the most difficult corner. Nick Terrell looking behind, looking ahead. What's he going to do? He's got to nail these next 2 laps, and it looks like he's done just that, or 3 laps. How many laps will it be? We'll find out here once we cross the line.
No, we're gonna be taking the white flag this time by about 90 seconds around this place. We'll be taking the white flag with about maybe 55 seconds left. So this will be the white flag lap. Once they get to it, now we are on the pit straight for the penultimate time, and here is Traffic City here coming to the white. Barney has it slaloming around some GTs and LMPs as Perodato tries to find something for the run into Tamburello for the final time.
This lap, it is literally make or break at this moment. 0.3 of a second as they come out of Tamburello turn 1 and 2 here as we go through. Let's see what can be found. Nick Terrell, Cody Perodato, this battle has raged. It swung one way, it swung the other way, and now, well, who knows how it's going to end? It's half a lap to figure it out. 45 seconds to go here, Corey, as they go through. Right now, Nick Terrell looks to have the advantage, but can Perodato find anything in the last half of the lap or the main straight as they head towards Aqua Minerale for the final time? And also, hello, Cody.
I will say exiting Tosa there, he got through much better. Maybe exiting the heavy braking zones, I would have gave the run to Perodato, but through the quick switchbacks, such as what we just went through right there through Minerale, I'd give it to Perodato. But now we have a little bit of a straight. Now we have Variant into Alta right here. Another chicane. Now we have the run to Ravazza, Brad. This is the only chance. About a half second. I think it's too far to go without any serious dive. I think Terrell just has to make a clean set of corners.
Nick Terrell looking to get this done. Little wiggle, though, going through the final corners. Does this compromise his speed? 0.6 of a second. Cody Perodato flashes the lights. I think he knows there's nothing left to give. Lights flash from Nick Terrell. Nick Terrell is going to come across the line here to win at Imola. Cody Perodato will settle for second. A hard-fought second. Nick Terrell, though, in that mystery mobile. What's new, Scooby-Doo? Nick Terrell with a win. As we check back in with the soul of racing, LMP2. He's got about half a lap to complete here. Callan Tobin has about 3/4 of a lap to complete. And Zach Mosley will cross the line to win in the GTD category.
Yeah, Mosley, he did a great job again, batting way above his class here. 3 competitors between him and second in class there. So, and he will certainly be one to watch out for in the promotion sequence in future races. But Dylan Ackley now coming through into Alta. He has maybe about 1/3 of a lap to go, and he is enjoying a sizable gap over Metterley. Not even worth computing how big of a gap it is. So as long as he chugs along, he will be just fine. Actually, Metterley has already completed his lap, a lap in arrears.
Yeah, weird moments here with multiclass. When the timer ends, sometimes the leaders get credit. Showing Dylan Ackley a lap up, that gap was about 30 seconds, I'd say, is where it was in the end there. So, but hey, that's an impressive gap here for Dylan Ackley and Brian Metterley as they go through. That's the win for Dylan Ackley and LMP2. Callan Tobin, early pit stop. I was questioning it. In the end, though, 0.7 of a second, half a second off between him and Colin Bourdon. And Callan Tobin, you see coming through is, I was going to say, is this too early of a celebration? But no, Colin Bourdon joins in at the end of the race. Sometimes you don't try to steal it. You just let the victory be in for Callan Tobin there. A great win. I know he puts a lot of pride in being a dad, but right now the pride needs to be in getting that victory here as it goes. As we'll pull up our full screen results momentarily. Man, what a race, Corey.
Yeah, I would have not, obviously being a guy who's pretty oval centric, I would have thought I was seeing the road equivalent of Bristol here today with as much bumping and banging and guys going off and having issues. But one guy who did not have issues was Terrell there. He got a feel for Peridotto with as much as he led here today and as many things as he did right, but just not enough to seal the deal here. The mystery machine gets to do the donuts for the overall victory.
That it does, and we'll pull up these full screen results here for your race here. This was round number 6 here in Imola, and here's how LMPs or GTPs stacked up. Nick Terrell in the front with Cody Peridotto, 0.6 of a second. Again, what could have been if not for turn 1. Zach Nerney there in third. Murphy, Hibbs, Garcia, and Stenik, the 7 cars finishing out GTP. In LMP2 here, how they ran: Dylan Ackley, Brian Metterly, Emily Milkey, Maxwell Woodmansee, and Liam Branco, the 5 LMP2s who took on today. From there we go, GTD Pro, and it was Callan Tobin, Colin Bourdon, William Westbrook, Michael Guragilla, Nicholas Paletti, Chris Stewart, Travis Bell, Hugo Alexander Ortiz, Mike Sermon, Tyler Cook. Top 10 here, Joel Bandera and Will Weaver, the other 2 cars who took on GTD Pro. And then in GTD, Mosley winning here by 22.5 seconds over Joshua Bibb, Dayton McGuire in P3, Aaron Clayball, Michael Bowman rounding out your top 5. Then it was Marin, Bob Carey, Steve Groniga, Dayton Harrison, Daniel Pinero, your top 10, with Ondera, Yor, Grady, Moore, Hemperly, Bechtel, and Holland Greer. The 17 cars with Hemperly and Bechtel, and I believe Greer as well, all having hardware failures early on in this race. But with that being said, we do have our overall winner here, Nick Terrell, coming up to speak with us. Nick, sir, first of all, congratulations on the overall win, man. How's it feel?
Pretty good. I was a little aggravated last week because I tried to remote in to my computer, couldn't get in. I called the wife. She didn't hear the call, so I wasn't able to get into the race last week. So I was had 2 weeks of pent up practice and frustration to try to work on tonight. And yeah, Cody, as always, man, he results in a sweaty shirt when I'm done with racing him.
Listen, Nick, I have to ask the $1 million question here. If Cody hadn't have had his turn 1 moment, do you think you still would have gotten past him? Or how do you think that this would have went to the end here?
To give, I don't know how Dargy Bargy or whatever we might have had to get if I got a chance to get up there. But yeah, I was just trying to nip away. I knew his biggest vulnerability was the that last chicane. What is it, turn 11, 12 or whatever it is. I think that's what it is. And I could make up a quarter second, 0.2 there on him sometimes. And I just felt like we're left. And then if I could make up X amount per lap, I was like, man, it's going to be close. I'm going to have to drive my butt off, And I saw that dust pop up in the air and I realized it was him. And I was, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth there.
Absolutely, man. And I have to ask the $1 million question. We got 2 rounds left in the season. Next week, it is raining Monza. How do you feel about Monza in the wet? How are you going to do?
That's going to be awkward. I've already used my 2 drop weeks by having the bad Le Mans and missing last week. So it's going to be a matter of probably more survival. I'll definitely take it as it comes and just try to stay out of the trouble. And just, it's going to be awkward passing there. I mean, it's probably up there with being as contention with this track, honestly, just because you have the turn 1 chicane, you got just awkward double right-handers, you got the other chicane, parabolica, depending on how, if there's GT3s fighting in front of you. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of high-speed stuff. So yeah, should be fun and should be good for the broadcast.
For sure, man. And before we let you go, anyone you want to thank or shout out, the floor is yours.
Yeah, as always, you all doing the broadcast, the league organizers, all the people behind the scenes, not the thankless and nameless folks, the spouses of ours and everything. My spouse, she, as always, I thank her every time. It's just glad to be part of the community and glad to be here.
Awesome. Congratulations, Nick. We'll catch up with you later, man.
Thanks, Brad. Have a good night.
You too. All right, and let's catch up with our GTD Pro winner, Callan Tobin. Let's see if we can't touch base with him here. Callan, I said it on broadcast. I know that being a dad is a big deal for you, but right now I got to say, getting the win in GTD Pro has to feel pretty doggone close, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's go, man. What a race. I hope I didn't piss anyone off during that race because I feel like I had to climb back through it. And once I saw Colin behind me, I was a little nervous knowing his pace. So, no, it was awesome. This is the first true win since the win I had when there was just a ton of cautions in Mugello. So it's feels nice.
Absolutely, man. It's great to see the win here for you. And I got to ask, what got you to decide to pit so early? What was kind of the decision on that one for you?
I wrecked. I had a few GTPs run into me. I know Tyler said sorry during the race, but yeah, they got into it in one of the turns and ran into me, and I had damage and just had to pit. So luckily I had enough fuel in the car to make it because I didn't have to take any extra fuel past my tires, which helped when I kind of wrecked. But just caught up in an unfortunate incident, and then coming back through the field was just intense. So
For sure. And looking at next week, raining in Monza, how are you feeling about that? Thinking we're going back to back?
man, my season this year has been work heavy, so I'm unfortunately traveling again next week, and no, I'll be watching it from a hotel, that's for sure. So good luck to those guys. I'm glad I'm not in that race.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, take it easy. Congratulations on the win, and we'll catch up with you later.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Brad.
All right. And last but not least, let's catch up really quick with Zach Mosley in GTD AM by a pretty good chunk of change, I have to say. 3 GTD pros in the way there. Zach, man, how'd it feel?
A little lonely and a little blessed. I first foremost got to say I feel horrible for Nate. Nate had some technological issues that prevented him from really getting the race. Nate was stupid fast at that Porsche. Not 100% think if he runs this race, we're not sitting here talking now. So tough break for him, but unfortunately, that's motorsports sometimes.
You can say that again, man. Zach, taking a look at just how the race went for you overall, it was a great run, great going through. Where did the pace come from, man, for you? Was it just, have you done a lot of practice, or are you just comfortable with this car track combo? What was it?
Imola's a track I very much like. Hilariously, all 3 weeks that we've sat here and talked are tracks that I absolutely freaking love. So it just kind of worked in my favor that way. This was also a 2-week strategy. As you've asked the other guys about Monza in the wet next week, I was kind of hoping for some success ballast next week to not be in the way of the carnage. So we get to start at the back of the pack and see if the Red Sea parts for Moses at turn 1, and we'll play it by ear at that point.
Man, Zach, I can't wait to see next week. Next week was kind of my brainchild, so if anyone wants to yell at me, I just admitted it's my fault. So I'm sure I'll get some nasty DMs next week. It'll be fine, though. Zach, anyone you want to take a shout out before we let you go, man? The floor is yours.
First and foremost, to my wife, she's an absolute freaking angel for putting up with this and allowing me to race as much as I do. Secondly, to all the guys over at SCR and all of our sponsors, phenomenal team, phenomenal group of guys. To all y'all that put on the broadcast, everybody that runs the league, everybody in the background that gets hardly any mention but deserves all the credit for what we get to do here. Man, y'all don't understand how much we appreciate it, and we greatly enjoy what y'all do.
Awesome. Congratulations on the win, Zach. Great to see you back up here. And, well, I'm curious to see how starting from the back goes next week, man. Good luck.
10-4, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
You too. All right, Corey. So we got all of the requirements of elbows out. Big crash, lead changes, thanking the wife, and good battles. I don't think we could ask for much more, could we?
Yeah, all kept us busy for the entirety of the show, and glad to be stepping in, Patrick. Most likely we'll be back next week, and if he's not, I don't see any reason why I won't be able to fill in. So glad to fill in. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe here. PTR TV looking to get 1,900 subscribers. We'll be back live on Sunday night with the triple bypass racing series at a track that I don't know offhand, but stay tuned for it. busy week, and we want everyone along with us. So, actually, this is your show. Why am I doing it?
Corey just went in autopilot is what just happened. Yeah, Sunday at Echo Park, if I'm not mistaken, Corey, I think is where we're at. And also, big old announcement coming Sunday, of which I can share no details other than it's huge. So make sure you're around for that. Yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the fun things. On behalf of Corey, my name is Brad. We've taken you start to finish here. Be sure to join us for the next one. We'll take you start to finish yet again. Good night.
Later.